I first saw him on a Sunday afternoon, broad daylight. That's what made it worse. It wasn't 2 a.m., it wasn't some shadow in the dark. It was 4:36 p.m. according to the timestamp on my backyard camera. I was inside, folding laundry when my phone buzzed. Motion detected. Backyard. That wasn't unusual. I get alerts when squirrels run across the fence or when the wind moves the tree branches too hard. I opened the camera casually and froze. A man was standing in the far corner of my backyard, not climbing the fence, not walking through, just standing there, still, facing my house. My backyard is fenced on all sides, 6-foot wooden panels, no gaps, no broken boards. There's only one gate and it's locked from the inside. He was inside the yard. I zoomed in. Mid-40s maybe, dark jacket, jeans, baseball cap pulled low. His hands were at his sides. He wasn't looking around nervously. He wasn't searching for anything. He was just staring at the back of my house, at my windows, at me. Even though he couldn't see me directly, it felt like he could. I didn't move. I didn't breathe. I expected him to run when he realized there were cameras. Most people do. Trespassers panic. They leave. He didn't. He stood there for almost 30 seconds, then slowly turned his head toward the camera and held eye contact with it, like he wanted me to know he didn't care. My chest felt tight. I grabbed my phone and called the police. While it rang, I kept watching the feed. He didn't move. The operator answered. I whispered my address and said there was someone in my backyard. Is he attempting entry? She asked. No, he's just standing there. She paused. Stay inside. Officers are on the way. I stayed glued to the screen. After about a minute, the man finally moved. Not toward the fence, not toward the house. He took one slow step forward, then another, until he was standing directly below my kitchen window, looking up. The curtain was slightly open. I stepped back instinctively. My heart was pounding. He couldn't see me clearly from outside, but he knew someone was home. He tilted his head slightly, like he was studying something. Then I heard it. A knock. Not on the back door, on the glass of the kitchen window. 3 soft taps. My entire body went cold. He wasn't trying to break in, he was announcing himself. I stayed silent, didn't move, didn't react. Another 3 taps. Then he leaned closer to the glass and smiled. It wasn't wide, it wasn't exaggerated, just a subtle smile, the kind that doesn't reach the eyes. I heard sirens faintly in the distance. He must have heard them too because he stepped back from the window, but he didn't run. That's the part that still doesn't make sense. Most people panic when police are coming. They climb the fence, they disappear. He just stood there, looking toward the street, waiting. 2 police cars pulled up in front of my house. Officers rushed into the backyard, guns drawn. They shouted commands. On the ground! Hands up! He complied immediately. No resistance, no panic, just calmly laid down on the grass. I watched from inside, my hands shaking. They handcuffed him and stood him up. One of the officers looked toward my window. I stepped outside after they secured him. Do you know this man? The officer asked. No. I'd never seen him before. They searched him. No weapons, no tools, just a wallet, phone, keys. They asked him what he was doing in my yard. He looked directly at me and said calmly, I live here. The officer frowned. This is his address, he said, gesturing toward me. The man shook his head slowly. No, this is my house. The way he said it wasn't confused, wasn't angry. It was certain, like he genuinely believed it. The officers ran his ID, different address across town. They asked if he'd been drinking. He said no. Asked if he was lost. He said no. Asked how he got into the backyard. He didn't answer that, just kept looking at the house, at my house, like he was memorizing it. They eventually put him in the back of the patrol car, trespassing charge, maybe mental health evaluation. I figured that was the end of it. Just a disturbed guy, wrong place, wrong house. I replaced the backyard gate lock that night anyway, installed an extra camera near the fence, just in case. 3 days later, at 4:36 p.m., my phone buzzed again. Motion detected, backyard. Motion detected, backyard. 4:36 p.m., the exact same time as 3 days earlier. My stomach dropped before I even opened the app. I already knew what I was going to see, but I opened it anyway. The backyard looked empty at first. Fence intact, gate closed, grass still. Then I noticed something small, near the far left corner of the fence. A shadow, not a full figure, just the top of a baseball cap slowly rising above the fence line. He wasn't inside the yard this time. He was standing just outside the fence, but tall enough that I could see the top half of his face, watching. The police had arrested him. They told me he didn't have any connection to me. They said he claimed confusion. They said it was likely a mental health issue. But there he was again, exactly 72 hours later. Same time, same place, same stare. I didn't call the police immediately. I just watched. He didn't move for almost a minute. Then he slowly raised his hand and tapped the fence once. Just one knock, soft. Then lowered his hand and smiled. The same subtle smile from before. He wasn't trying to get in. He wasn't trying to hide. He was showing me he could come back whenever he wanted. I called the police again. This time he didn't wait for sirens. The moment I stepped away from the window to grab my phone, he was gone. By the time officers arrived, the street was empty. They searched the area. Nothing. No car nearby. No one matching his description. It was like he disappeared. I showed them the camera footage. They recognized him immediately. Said he had been released the day after the arrest. No charges stuck. No prior record. They advised me to file for a restraining order against a man I didn't know for standing in my yard. The next few days were quiet. No motion alerts. No shadows. But something changed inside me. I started noticing small things. The gate latch would be slightly lifted. Not open, just lifted. Like someone had tested it. The backyard camera would glitch occasionally at 4:36 p.m. Just a brief flicker. No motion recorded, just static for a second, then normal again. One evening I came home from work and found something on my back porch. A rock, small, smooth, placed carefully in the center of the porch floor. It wasn't there that morning. It wasn't from my yard. It was different, darker, like it came from somewhere else. Underneath it was a folded piece of paper. My hands shook as I opened it. 3 words. You moved it. No name, no signature, just that. You moved it. I didn't understand. Moved what? I checked the backyard immediately. Everything looked the same. Fence intact, grass undisturbed, gate locked. But then I noticed something subtle. The angle of my patio chair. It was slightly turned, facing the house, instead of facing the yard, like someone had repositioned it to look inside. I reviewed the footage from that day. At 4:36 p.m., the camera glitched again. 2 seconds of static. When the image returned, the patio chair was already turned. No person visible, no movement recorded, just a changed position. I didn't sleep much after that. Every afternoon at 4:36, I'd sit near the window and wait. Sometimes nothing happened. Sometimes I'd see the shadow of the cap above the fence for a few seconds. Never longer than a minute. Always watching. Never entering. The police started responding slower. They said without him trespassing again, there wasn't much they could do. One evening, about 2 weeks later, I came home earlier than usual. 3:50 p.m. Sun still bright. I parked quietly down the street instead of in my driveway, walked toward my house slowly. And that's when I saw him, standing in my backyard, inside, again, facing my house. He didn't notice me yet. He was too focused on the window, on the reflection in the glass. I didn't call out. I didn't shout. I just watched him from behind the fence. He stepped closer to the kitchen window, raised his hand, and placed his palm flat against the glass. Then he leaned in, like he was listening, and that's when I realized something horrifying. He wasn't looking at the inside of my house. He was looking at the reflection, at himself, in the window, studying it, comparing something. He adjusted his baseball cap slightly, tilted his head, mirrored the movement, practicing. I felt cold all over, because the posture, the way he stood, the way he leaned, it looked familiar, too familiar. He finally turned slightly, and I saw his face clearly. My stomach dropped. He didn't look identical to me, but close enough. Similar build, similar haircut, similar jawline. Not a twin, but an approximation, like someone trying to copy me. He was using my window as a mirror, perfecting it. Then he slowly turned around and saw me standing outside the fence. For a second, we just stared at each other. No anger, no surprise, just recognition. Then he smiled, that same subtle smile, and calmly walked toward the gate. He didn't run, he didn't rush. He opened the gate latch from the inside, like he'd always known how, stepped out, closed it gently behind him, and walked past me without saying a word, like he belonged there, like I was the visitor. I called the police again. This time they searched the area for hours. They never found him. The cameras that afternoon glitched again. No footage of him entering, no footage of him leaving, just static at 4:36 p.m. Every day since then, at exactly 4:36 p.m., my phone buzzes. Motion detected. Backyard. When I check it, the yard is empty, but the patio chair? It's always slightly moved, facing the window, watching. And sometimes when I catch my reflection in the kitchen glass, for just a split second, it feels like it's practicing something. This was Midnight Whispers. If someone stands in your yard and doesn't run, it might not be your house they want, it might be your place.